Hi, Evie. Do you know whether... Wow, wait a minute. This isn't Elysium Hold.
No, it's not. Welcome to my new covenant, the Night Fae.
Wow, you finally went with your Bis covenant. Wait, what about your cool wings transmog?
Oh, I'll be changing back later. This is for your Valentine's Day gift.
What do you mean? Oh man, are you going to introduce me to the Winter Queen?
Even better.
Huln High Mountain, the Horny Hunter?
Even better. Don't forget this is the PTR tally.
You didn't.
Say hello to my new soul shape.
I've never felt more loved. Or jealous. Where do I get one of those?
Knowledge is power.
Hello, Internet. Taliesin here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset, Taliesin Evitel's Wondrous Wisdom Show in a week. Where, okay, do you remember last episode where we were like, ooh, there's a patch 9.0.5 on the PTR, but it's encrypted, so we don't know what it actually is. It could be anything. Well, it's not encrypted anymore, fam. We are inside it and absolutely going to town on it, discovering new things. Blizz have confirmed that the patch is coming out in March, probably, almost definitely, like pretty sure, totally gonna try, it might be March, and given us some pretty big headlines about it too, which have set the community ablaze. Headlines which just kept on coming throughout the week in a way that makes us really glad that we hold off writing this show until the weekend, because we are now in a position to give you, ladies and gentlemen, the Weekly Reset 9.0.5 special, looking at everything we know about the upcoming patch for Shadowlands, which we have jokingly said before on this show is really turning into the just give them everything they want expansion, and which this week has doubled down on that philosophy in a big way. But also because this is Blizzard after all, in a frustrating way, which means as well as telling you about everything in 9.0.5, we'll also be rating each piece of news as either OMG yes, this is just what we wanted, big time massive win, Shadowlands rules, or no Blizz, so why you do this, Shadowlands worst S-Pack ever? And spoiler, but yeah, sometimes we'll be giving both to the same thing, but you knew that already, didn't you? So first things first, Blizzard's blue post clarifying what 9.05 actually is, and just as much, what it is not. This update will be a bit different from our usual patches. It's focused almost entirely on systems, responding to community feedback about rewards, doing that tuning that requires the sort of notice and iteration that a PTR allows, and fixing a range of bugs that are beyond the scope of our ability to hotfix. So to be clear, what we have here is not the 9.1 that we've all been talking about all year, but instead something that gives us tuning and quality of life changes to in-game systems without having to wait for 9.1. Blizzard's habit of holding off for big patches to make those pretty obvious and common sense changes being a recurring complaint throughout the last couple of expansions. The changing of which here makes this a pretty clear-cut, OMG yes, this is just what we wanted, big time massive win Shadowlands rules moment. What a great start to the 9.0.5 special. I think this is going to be a fun and not at all controversial episode. But there is one pretty big reason not to be so thrilled about Blizz announcing patch 9.05, and that's because of the fact that it even exists. Because all of this is great and exciting and everything, but there is no doubt that 9.1 is the main event. That's where all the new content is actually coming. Stories and a new zone maybe, and quests and flying probably, and a raid of course, and who knows what else. And we don't know when 9.1 is coming, but whatever wait you are expecting, it's probably fair to say that wait just got a little bit longer. Because it's fair to reason that if 9.1 was going to be as soon as we all wanted it, as in, and I can't speak for anyone else here, March please, then this halfway house stopgap tuning patch wouldn't be needed. The vast bulk of these changes would be coming with 9.1 in March, instead of 9.05, which Blizzard have announced, don't forget, is probably coming in March. So that was a shit show, obviously. I hope they mean early March. As always, too little and much too late. This is WOD levels of emptiness. I bet there isn't even a 9.1. I am ill and will be dead by 9.1 now, looks like, thanks. Here's what I suspect has happened here. For pretty understandable reasons, 9.1 and the hopefully many and varied treasures within just isn't ready. Work on it was probably already behind after the launch of Shadowlands was delayed, and with the world situation what it is, that's fair enough. 9.1 a bit later than we hoped, but the things that they can do before that, like the tuning and loot drop rates and Valor and stuff, they will with the new and possibly previously unplanned 9.0.5, which they are telling us about now, a week before Blizzconline, so that they don't have to bother telling us about it in Blizzconline, because Blizzconline is all about 9.1 and all the, hopefully, many and varied treasures within. Blizzconline, by the way, which Blizz have been sending us promotional materials for weeks now, as if we might forget about it or choose not to cover it, including one package which simply included one lanyard and one face mask. Like, what the f*** are we supposed to do with one face mask, Blizz? You know there are two of us, Blizz. You wrote Taliesin and Evitel on the parcel that you sent this in. Are we supposed to flip for this? One of us gets the mask and lives, and the other gets a snazzy way to display our ID, but will unfortunately die. What are you trying to do here, Blizz? Which one of us did you decide didn't deserve to live? As if I have to ask. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. But no, seriously though, thanks for all the stuff. And also, no, Blizz, so why you do this? Shadowlands worst X-Pack ever? Because yeah, it looks like we might have a longer old wait for the first major patch than any of us wanted. Especially as some of the stuff on this PTR right now looks like it might have been designed with keeping the player base busy in mind. But hey, I like to be kept busy. That's why I play this game, right? If Blizz didn't give me a continuous in-game grind to dedicate myself to, then I'd have to waste my time on going outside or getting a PhD or feeding my baby. So, okay, down to the meat and potatoes. What is actually in 9.0.5?
It's a tuning patch, so there's Covenant, Conduit, and class tuning. Blizz admit they've purposely been keeping a soft touch on these things so far, especially when it comes to Covenant abilities. For obvious reasons, the last thing anyone wants is your BIS Covenant changing every week and you having to swap around. And so far, most of what we are seeing on the PTR seems designed to make those non-BIS Covenants a bit less horrible for those that are resolutely sticking with their non-optimal choice. So, things like Shackle the Unworthy is buffed for DK. Death Knights? That's the Kyrian DK ability. I know most of you probably don't remember that one, but it's been buffed. You're not going to change covenants for it, but somewhere, someone is playing a Kyrian DK and is very pleased about that news. The headlines are probably Fleshcraft getting a much bigger shield and damage reduction during the channel, something which might actually make it decent in the right situations. Priests getting a big nerf to Spirit Shell, and Conqueror's Banner getting a rework for Necrolord Warriors. It no longer being a fixed AoE, but instead granting mastery and movement speed to you and your two nearest allies. Of course, all tuning will reserve judgment until it's finished, so for now, we'll be keeping an eye on Wowhead's comprehensive and ever-evolving list of all the changes, which we will be linking in the description below. Not that it matters anyway, because as soon as 9.05 hits, then everyone will be switching to Night Fae for the glorious new soul shapes that are getting datamined on the PTR. We don't know if all of these will be available in the patch or whether they are coming later, but they are included in data, which suggests they definitely are going to be options for Night Fae players soon, which means 9.05 is bringing the chunk boys. Yaks, shovel tusks, dire horns, kodos, mammoths, hippos! Basically, if it can fit through a normal sized door, then it can off, because there is no place for it here. Go chunk or go home. Oh yeah, there's a spider too, but no. But that's not all, because right next to those shapes in the data, although not so explicitly marked as playable options, which might mean they might come a bit later, of adorable critter soul shapes, like the otter, and the frog, and the corgi, and the chunky cat, and all the other forms that already exist in Ardenweald, but which we currently can't use. All of this is grade A, 9 carat, oh my god, yes, this is just what we wanted, big time massive win, Shadowlands rules stuff right here. We've got 2 more mailboxes in Oribos on the PTR right now, which is clearly wonderful, but which begs the question, where will the long boys hang out? Like, I need to know exactly which of these mailboxes is the designated Longboy charity mailbox so I don't waste my time running around looking for someone else's Longboy to use, you know? May I suggest an official broker-run Longboy feeding station with watering troughs and grooming tools where I know all the longest boys will hang out? Make that happen, and it's a another, oh my god, yes, this is just what we wanted, big time massive win Shadowlands rules for me. We've got what looks to be the framework for something called Stygia crafting. On the PTR, Venari now sells the Stygia Dowser, which allows you to find hard to reach Stygia nodes, which give you Stygia Dust, and Stygia Metal, which look like they might be used for the new Stygia Forge in Domination Keep to craft Stygia Bars, which looks like they are used to craft Runed Husks, which appears to be one step on the way to creating a Shadehound mount, which is usable in the Maw. So if you're not a Twisting Corridors kind of guy or gal, then this is another win for 9.05. What else? Oh yeah! Do you like loot? Ian tweeted last week that he acknowledged there were some issues with the amount of loot dropping in raids, and that it is something they would be focusing on more in the future. No 9.05 news on that yet. No Blizz, why you do this Shadowlands worst X-Pack ever? But right at the end of the week, as in like the last button they'd have pressed at Team 2 HQ before closing up for the weekend, if there was anyone in the office, which obviously there isn't, but if there were, Blizz put out an official blue post saying that in the meantime, they'd be increasing the amount of raid loot dropping from Castle Nathria beginning this reset. 33% more loot all around, with weapon tokens now dropping more often in the ratio. It means that a Mythic raid group of 20 will now see 4 pieces of loot per boss, up from 3. For scaling normal and heroic groups, it means 1 drop for every 5 people in the group, with an extra 20% chance for every extra group member in between. So a raid of 29 would get a guaranteed 5 items per boss, with an 80% chance of a 6th piece of loot. It's more loot, and more loot means more fun. It's still not quite the levels of BFA, but we all agreed that last expansion was a meaningless loot pinata, which contributed to the Diabloification of the game, and one of the things that was definitely bad about it, right? Like, I watch YouTube videos, I remember that for sure. So this is definitely a, oh my god, yes, this is a shit show, obviously.
Too little, too late. You don't have a clue what you're doing, and it shows. Let's take something away, then the community is like a baby bird with its mouth open ready for when Blizz gives it back. Still not good enough, just put it back the way it was before all this less loot but better loot nonsense.
Oh. Okay, so actually we want it to be back like BFA? Sorry, I must have been watching the wrong YouTube videos. More loot! And that's just raid loot. I wonder what amazing plans Blizz have for Mythic Plus gearing in 9.05. Tally, I can't wait any longer. Tell me about the Mythic Plus loot, Tally.
Valor Points? That's right, fam. In absolutely the most unexpected, okay, f it, give them whatever they want moment of a whole fistful of, f it, just give them whatever they want moments, Valor Points will be making a return in patch 9.05, specifically for upgrading Mythic Plus loot. These changes are huge, big deal, great news. Thank you so much for listening. I didn't expect this, but you surprised me. Love. There it is, dude. There it is. Yo, isn't it just so wonderful when players get exactly what they asked for, which is definitely exactly what happened here. So yeah, the Valor. Now, as Blizzard stress, this is still just a framework which is subject to ongoing tuning and refinement. But right now, the idea is this. Gear from Mythic Keystone Dungeons will now be upgradable using Valor Points, which have a weekly cap and can be gained from Mythic Keystone Dungeons or Covenant Callings. Oh, those are those dailies that the guys in your Covenant give you. I've forgotten about those. Everyone will be able to upgrade their items to level 200, but players that have the new Keystone Explorer achievement, which is completing all Shadowlands dungeons at +5 or higher, will be able to upgrade theirs to 207. Having all dungeons completed at +10 for the Keystone Conqueror achievement will allow you to upgrade to 213, and players with the Keystone Master achievement, all dungeons completed at +15 or higher will be able to upgrade their items to level 213. We currently don't know what the drop rates for Valor will be, what the weekly cap will stand at, or how much it will cost to upgrade items. But who cares? The important thing is that Blizz are listening and once again have given players exactly what they asked for, which of course was a way of mitigating against low drop rates by having a vendor that you could buy items from and upgrade them to Mythic raid level at using a currency, just like PvP, which this system definitely is. boxes. Exactly. So as you can imagine, that was a shit show, obviously. When you think it cannot get any worse. 220 is way too low. Can't upgrade gear that doesn't drop. What a kick in the throat. Fishing dumbass decision made by a bunch of modders. Stick to art, Blizz, unsubbed. What the fuck, Blizz? Do your brains work? This is a kick in the face. I'm absolutely down with a Valor system, but I'm not down with this Valor system. No, it's true that the Valor system, as designed by Blizzard in their 9.05 announcement, is obviously an improvement on what we have. It doesn't exactly solve many of the problems that most of the players wanted a currency upgrade system for in the first place. They want a vendor that they can purchase specific items from and then upgrade separately to max level, exactly like a PvP vendor. But they want a PvP vendor, but for Mythic Plus, and Raid for that matter. What we actually need is 4, maybe 6 forms of currency: Conquest, Honor, Valor, and possibly a set for Raid players. 1 currency to buy the gear and 1 to upgrade it, and the choices on your secondary stats. No more gear drops from dungeons, no more drops from PvP, no gear drops from Raid, just currency in the same way PvP has it. And this system certainly isn't that, and was never going to be, and that comment should give you an idea as to why. Because to me, at least, the idea of being able to have any gear in the game at any level, and all I have to do to get it is grind to reach my currency cap every week, is like my worst nightmare. But I can totally sympathize with a couple of these points. There is a lack of loot in Mythic Plus end chests, and the problem of having no gear to actually upgrade with your hard-earned Valor points is a very real and likely one. I said on stream last week, before any of this was announced, that I think a lot of the complaints about gearing in this expansion could simply be solved by adding 1 extra piece of loot into Mythic Plus chests and Raid bosses, and I still think that's a good shout. I also do think it will happen for Mythic Plus, just like it has now happened for Raid too. I also sympathize with the not being able to upgrade Mythic Plus loot to max Mythic Raid level with this system. I mean, I can totally see why. There's a much bigger loot table in dungeons than Raid, and Mythic Plus are infinitely spammable, whereas Raid bosses can only be killed once a week. They're just not really comparable. So I do completely understand Blizzard's stance of making your shot at max level dungeon gear a weekly chance too. And you can point to how PvP gear can totally be upgraded as high as you like, and you're right. Although I would argue that's probably a problem that needs solving with PvP gearing, rather than needing to break Mythic Plus gear in the same way. I think set bonuses that raise the item level of PvP gear in PvP might probably be the answer. But I think there's totally an argument that having, say, all dungeons completed at plus 20 could allow players to upgrade their Mythic Plus gear beyond 220 at least. If not 226, maybe 225? I know. None of this is actually implemented on the PTR yet, and I'm certain that the way it's described to us here won't be the final iteration that we see in patch 9.05. So my advice would just be to keep an eye on this, or keep an eye on this show, and we'll keep an eye on it for you, and start saving those low-level Mythic Plus loot drops ready to upgrade your favorites in March. Oh no, wait. Please note that you will not be able to upgrade items that dropped before patch 9.0.5. Okay, fine, well you can't do that, and that makes sense when you think about it, right? Like, when I just said that thing about hoarding all your low-level dungeon loot, which probably didn't drop for you anyway because there's no loot dropping, but if it did, till March, that didn't sound like fun to you, did it? Like, I said that and your heart dropped a little bit, right? And not just you, that's exactly how people thought on the forums, where this clarification was seen as a liberation from having to do precisely that. And players were thankful that they wouldn't have to joylessly run dungeons to fill their bags with gear that would remain useless until a currency that currently exists only in name comes along to... No, it was a shit show, obviously. Jesus, how low can you people drop? What a complete disaster this patch will be then. Fishing what? What kind of bullshit is this? Makes 0 sense and is another punch in the face of the community. They don't care about you, just about statistics they show to their investors. This deal keeps getting worse. So, what crack were they smoking when they thought this was a good idea? Why Blizzard hate my Plus players so much? It was going so well and you fished it up. Why? This is shit. So, Blizz say this is because of coding, much like they did when they didn't allow corruption to be added to pre-existing items at the corruption vendor in 8.3 last expansion. And I guess I kind of believe that, and I kind of believe that they don't really want players trawling through months of deleted low-level items and requesting they be restored, but either way, we must farm all these items back, thanks Blizz. Which absolutely sucks, for sure, big time, no lie, although I have to say, that's something I've been banging on about the game anyway for over an expansion now. The way that every season you have to farm the same Mythic Plus loot all over again, just at higher item levels. A new raid or PvP season gives you new gear to collect, but M Plus throughout the course of an expansion is just a story of re-farming your BIS pieces again and again at higher levels, and that feels bad, and so will this, except this isn't even a new season. I can understand why people are upset. Back in 8.3, Blizz eventually fixed the corruption vendor thing a couple of weeks after they said that it couldn't be done. Maybe that'll be how this one plays out too. And in any case, hopefully there won't be time to seriously gear up in 9.0.5 anyway before the big release of the real thing, 9.1 soon after. Another one that we're all going to have to keep an eye on. I'm sure we will. Wow, Blizz dropping some big news this week.
All the big news.
And never even stopped, because some news that popped as we were writing this show, which I mean, I could have easily just written into one of our bits. Yeah, but I just couldn't be bothered. I thought, we'll do it at the end on the sofa. It's absolutely fine. Venari, you know Venari?
Yes.
The one who hates you, but who you love.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So how's your Venari progress going, by the way?
I mean, I haven't stepped foot in the Maw for maybe a few weeks.
You're like the Maw not walker.
Yeah,
it's
no,
like,
I'm not.
Hey, Maw walker. I think you might go to the Maw at any point. When you get to max rep with her, which is like, I don't completely effing hate you level, I think that's what it's called. I would care slightly if you died.
Yeah.
I might piss on you if you were on fire. I think that's
depends
like,
on the situation.
That's what the max reputation with Venari is at the moment, I think. You can use your Stygia to buy gem slots for your gear.
I know that.
And to buy conduits that you haven't got, like saving Stygia to buy gem slots and to get all their other conduits and things like that. But Blizz have confirmed that that won't be the case in 9.1, so there's no reason to save up Stygia ready to buy gem slots and conduits.
Oh, so I'm good.
No, it's a good thing. Oh. Yeah, totally. But they hadn't been clear about that before, so you had all these players kind of saving up loads of Stygia, joylessly farming in the Maw, walking the Maw. They are the true Maw walkers, and my hat goes off to them. But you need walk the Maw no more. Thoughts just generally on 9.0.5, 9.1?
Pretty exciting. Yeah, I think it feels okay. I'm excited. The soul shapes kind of do it for me, so I'm good.
I mean, I'm down with it as long as, you know, we know about it all now to clear the way for 9.1. Like, if Blizzconline comes along and Ian gets up on stage and he's like, so, what's next in Shadowlands, World of Warcraft? Well, let me spend the next half an hour telling you about 9.0.5. Then we're going to have some problems. We have some big news ourselves this week.
Do we now?
As well, we do. So, you know, a couple of weeks ago, we dropped the bombshell that you are now working for the channel full time.
Yes, hello.
And the fruits of every labour already, like, showing off. Like, you'll see our new merch store
Check
down
it out.
there
It's down
with
there.
all new designs, which are getting added to by the day, and all designed by Evie's fair hand.
Indeed. Check them out. We'll be
And-
bringing back some of the old designs too, so don't worry about those.
But even more so, if you are one of our Twitch viewers, then this week on Twitch, we have our new Twitch show launching.
May we tempt you, our friends, with a new Twitch offering on which I will appear.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been jumping into streams last week a little bit, just on
dipping your
Discord,
toe in,
just
getting
dipping my
ready
toes
to
in.
have like your own streams.
Exactly, well-
just you in the style that we do them. But this is a
Yeah.
whole new thing as well. Okay, so picture this. It's the morning, you get up, there's a frost in the air, the birds are singing because it's all early, you're showering, you're brushing your teeth, you got some coffee on the go, the toast is popping up, you see that there's some news on Wowhead.
Cozy vibes.
Stuff has happened while you've been asleep, and you're like, I need someone to tell me all about this World of Warcraft news that's happened while I've been asleep.
Instead of scrolling through it on your phone in bed.
These are words. Screw that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto Twitch and I'm going to watch Taliesin Evitel's new Twitch show called The Grind, where I get to watch people play World of Warcraft, but also specifically talk about the news.
Yeah.
Basically, you know, one of us will be playing WoW, one of us will be going through Wowhead, just talking about the news
It'll
as
just
is.
be a chat.
And
It'll be cozy.
Yeah.
It'll be really nice.
Exactly. And if any of the chats turn out to be good or relevant, then we might they might end up on YouTube at some point in a very separate playlist. Don't worry. But if that sounds like your kind of thing, then tune in on at the moment we're doing an experimental week because we haven't got any of the new graphics or music or anything.
No,
ready,
we have nothing ready.
That is in the works. So this is kind of like our dry run week where we sort of try this idea and refine it in front of you guys, ready for like the proper launch, I guess, next week after Blizzconline, when there will be plenty of stuff to talk about.
So it looks like we'll be doing it on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays.
This week, that's what we're doing.
We're going to try it out. Starting around 10 a.m. UK time, which is...
So a lot of our American friends will be asleep.
Yeah, so 5 a.m. East Coast, 2 a.m. West Coast.
Look, I know that a lot of you guys get up at 5 and 2 a.m, all right? Don't give me that. And, you know, for like UK and Australian people, might get a chance to watch us when usually they don't, which would be quite nice. So we look forward...
The rest of the world.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you there starting Monday, 15th. Tomorrow, hopefully, by the time this video gets out. Or maybe today, by the time this video gets out. Who knows? But thank you for joining us today for this show. Anyway, it's lovely to see you here. If you liked it, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real-life money to make all of our videos happen. And no mucking around, thank you. Because without you, there would be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evitel. And also, our new Twitch show wouldn't even have a name.
It's true.
Thank you for naming our show.
Thanks, guys.
We should make a patron-only t-shirt that says, without me, there'd be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evitel.
Let's do it.
If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is John Height. Why did I say John Height then at the end?
Weird.
No, my name is Taliesin from me.
And me, Evitel.
And Anirin too. Until next time, cheerio.